Okay, well, today we have very unusual and special guests coming to us from Israel. And our
Everybody.
our program today will be decoding the language of letters through the Hebrew alphabet, the mystery of creation. And joining us is Orya Deisraeli, who is with me the co-director of Exopolitics Israel, uh,
Hi.
and she has held it there. You know, we've had lots of things back and forth, and she's been very stalwart and great. And her colleague Oded. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and just please tell us a bit about yourselves. And uh, Orya, of course, we've done interviews before, but bring us into the world of decoding the language of letters through the Hebrew alphabet.
Okay, so if I may start, I'm a musician, I'm a voice teacher, and I play piano, and also I guide percussion and body percussion workshops for a variety kinds of audience. And I also deal with spiritual and spiritual evolution, and I dig into a lot of stuff, beginning from ETs, going down to explore the consciousness, the vast consciousness fields that are inside and outside, and going into the great deception that I believe is going on in this planet, and searching, trying to find out the traps that we're very easily getting caught into, the mental traps and programming that is being imposed on us since we're very young kids and through our growing up processes. And one at a time, I pick up one thing, and it's becoming, a very big picture of what's going on that I really discovering through a personal process. And also I will give Oded a chance to speak of his work. I've been working with Oded for a few years, for 6 or 7 years together. He's been doing a great job of, allowing and, expanding, help me expand my awareness and see more parts of the big pictures. So Oded, now it's your turn.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, my name is Oded Mansura. I'm about 55 years old, almost. And I would say that I've been a healer for about 30 years. That has been my passion, I would say. But I've studied quite a few things. I've lived in the United States for 10 years. I was born in Jerusalem, but from the years of 85 to 95, I have lived in the United States, mostly in Los Angeles. So I've been exposed to the, emergence of the New Age. I was there when things were hot, in a sense, and I've met quite a few great people. I was there at the time of the harmonic convergence,
Sure.
in 87. So I was fortunate enough, to be in touch with some of the emergence of things. And then after 10 years, my guidance told me, um, it's time to do the real work. So you are going back to Israel because that's where the work is needed. So I left United States and came back to Israel, not knowing exactly, what I am to do here, what is there for me, or here, in Israel. And then slowly it has, been revealed itself. So I want to pinpoint a specific event that has definitely made the biggest impact on my life and on my work. But before that, I would say that since I know myself, I always wanted and asked from the bottom of my heart to speak the language of the DNA. I don't know why. I just know that anything that I've learned, didn't really made it for me. I wasn't too excited and passionate and didn't think that anything that I've learned is the root cause of things. And all I remember is, crying out loud for years, I want to speak the language of the DNA, and I don't care what it takes. I'm ready to tap into this, secret language, whatever. And then, fortunate enough, in the year of 2002, I remember the exact day, August 16, I celebrated as a second birthday. You will know soon why. It was Friday night, and I was by myself, reading a book, and all of a sudden I felt like a cloud, is hovering over my head, and I'm about to faint. So I said, instead sitting here, I better go and lie down. So as soon as I lay down, a white light burst out of my third eye, and I saw a column of light extending all the way into heaven, from earth, all the way into heaven, and I was pulled. It feels like I was on a Merkaba, and I was pulled through this ladder, into eternity. And it was such a shocking and frightening experience that I remember myself screaming out of my lungs, please stop it. And all of a sudden it stopped. And I saw myself in a parallel universe, sitting in with a group of people, sitting in meditation, waiting for the teacher to show up. And all of a sudden, out of nothing, a beam of light showed up, and a teacher showed up, and he looked at each one of us. And when he approached me, he looked at me, he whispered something into my ears, which I don't remember what. And all of a sudden, I burst and exploded into millions of dots of light. And I felt like I'm one with all the universe. And when all these rains of light, came back together to form my body, I knew at that moment that I'm no longer the same. Something had shifted, something had changed. And then all of a sudden I felt that a lot of changes is happening here. And the message was there, you got what you need to get, now go down there and work with it. And I woke up here, and I think it was about 15 minutes experience, nothing more than that, but it felt like eternity. And I know I was there with my body, it wasn't like I was out of my body, but I have no witnesses, to tell whether I was there with body or not. But it felt completely with a whole body experience. I know what it's like to be without my body. And I said, wow, what was that? I didn't know, how it's going to unfold. And weeks later and months later, I realized that I'm different. Something is different. I spoke differently. I started to speak in plurals. instead of saying I did that and I ate, I started to speak in we did that, we ate, we will tell you, we, constantly we. And I didn't really realize that until some people around me kept asking me, who is we? Who is we? Didn't know we. I don't know who is we. Let me ask, let me go and ask. So I tried to make contact with my guidance for quite a while and ask who is we? And finally I got the answer. The we consciousness is obviously the we consciousness is a group consciousness that specific group consciousness that I made contact with is called Enoch. Enoch.
Enoch.
Enoch.
Enoch.
Enoch, yeah.
Enoch, yeah.
Enoch is a group consciousness from probably the seventh firmament, the seventh
dimension.
Of the highest
dimension, you think, or?
No, it's beyond dimension. I can't tell exactly which dimension, but it is offshoot of it's even above the angelic realms, which are the closest to God. It's like an archangel.
I see.
But it's a consciousness, but anyway, I knew nothing about Enoch. The only thing I knew about Enoch is from the book, The Keys of Enoch, that J.J. Hortak wrote at the time. But, which I had this book, and I've been reading this book for quite a few years, and it has definitely inspired me and influenced me in some ways. But other than that, I didn't really had nothing to do with it. And when I asked who is Enoch, so they told me go to Book of Genesis, chapter 5, and phrase number 24. And when I looked in there it tells in this chapter the genealogy of Adam. It says there that Adam had a son called Shet, and Shet had a son called Enosh, who had a son called Canaan, who had another son, who had his son called Mahalalel, who had a son called Yered, and Yered had a son called Enoch. And this Enoch, this is the group consciousness, that has been making contact with me. And what's so unique about Enoch, unlike the other names, it didn't say in the Bible when he died. All of them, all the others, it was mentioned that they lived so many years and they died at the years after 800 years or 900 years and so forth. But about Enoch, it says is there that he was taken by the gods to see the heavens. And he was brought back down here to tell. Unlike any other biblical figures that was taken into the heavens, yet never came back here to tell, Enoch was the only one, the only biblical figure that have returned to earth to tell the stories of what is really happening up there, out there. So Enoch consciousness is available to us, to anybody basically, to tap into that sort of, it's like a library, a spiritual library that are aligned with ourselves and aligned with the changes that are happening on all levels of consciousness. So what I realized the most, that I started from then on, I had a direct link with Enoch that have revealed to me the secrets of the Hebrew letters and how they are related to any changes that happen on the planet, and how we can work with these letters to decode basically almost anything. I was primarily interested in how decoding the human spirit and body alignment and connection, body and spirit. But to tell you the truth, it took me 10 years to download this information before I could make any sense of it. It was so difficult. It was so in such a language that I could never speak or understand, only because I was trained to translate things from my left hemisphere of the brain. But slowly, this guidance have trained me how to think and function from the right hemisphere of the brain. And that's where things got clearer and clearer and clearer. So I was guided to travel through the hidden codes in the Hebrew Bibles, in the Old Testament, and basically decode messages that will help humanity, to tap into the truth, the core, the whatever will guide us into what we're here for in the first place. So that was quite an amazing experience. I'm very blessed for that. Yet I know that it's that I have to work with it, and I started to teach this language. And hopefully I can spread this message to more and more people, because I'm sure that there is a cry for it.
Right.
For whatever reasons.
Yeah, it sounds like a companion dog to my little papillon here. What are some of the could you describe the process that you went through, say, looking at the various letters, maybe talk about one or two of the letters and give some of its meaning, and then lead us into some of the messages, just unfold some of the process for us.
Okay, I have I primarily teach in Hebrew, and I have done some homework and translated some of the biblical, phrases to English, so that it will be easier for people to understand. But I want to take you into a book of Genesis, chapter 6, phrase 11. This is a key phrase that basically tells us that where I come from. And it says there, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Okay, there was a time, that all the earth, all the people spoke the sacred language, and they were basically one. They were functioning from one consciousness. And then what happened is the Babylon, tower that has separated this one language into 70 languages. And these 70 languages, so there was a core language, which is in the middle, the core, and all the other languages, we call that they are at the shells. They are outside of the core. Now, I found throughout the years that the Hebrew language and the English language are so much similar that is amazing. There are thousands of English words that are one-to-one Hebrew pronunciation.
So for example, you must give some examples, because it's really fascinating. So
yeah, let me see if I can pull up some out of my head. But for example, in English you say therapy. In Hebrew you say trufa. Okay, therapy, TRF. In Hebrew is trufa, TRF. The same letter, just with slight shift in pronunciation. In Hebrew, not only that it's the same sounding, it's the same meaning, because the meaning in Hebrew for trufa is therapy. For example, in English you say source. Okay, source, meaning the core. In Hebrew you say shoresh, sores is like SRS, in Hebrew. Shoresh. In Hebrew, in English, you say positive for something, good. In Hebrew, you say Po ze tov. Po ze tov. Like positive, po, here, po, ze, it's good. Po ze tov. It's the same meaning, the same pronunciation with slight, shifting, because so anyway, I found the English language helps me so much to understand depth in the Hebrew meaning, just as Hebrew helps me to understand depth in the English. For example, in English, you say the word letters. Letters, the exact, the Hebrew sounding of letters, if I were to write letters and translate each letter to Hebrew, it will mean leta'er. Leta'er, it means to describe, to tell, is to tell. And what do you tell? Leta'er, do you have the sound of the T and the R? Letter, right? Le is the L, it's to. TR, it means the Torah. The Torah is the, excuse me, I have my phone.
Oh.
Torah is the Torah. It's the book that is giving us the direct order of how creation was built, and it was built through letters. It says in the Bible, in the first phrase of the Bible, in English, it starts in the beginning. God created earth, heaven and earth. So in Hebrew it says, Bereshit Elohim bara et. Et is E-T. Think about E and T. It means the Hebrew alphabet starts with the letter A and end up with the letter of T. We have 22 letters. So in the beginning, God created 22 letters. He created the A and the T. And the A and the T is already mentioned in the first phrase. But when I translate it into English, it means E and T. What is ET? Extraterrestrials. It's all
right. So there's a lot of right.
Yeah, it's such a game that the only way to play this game is to go back to open your childhood eyes. You have to open your inner childhood eyes that is seeing things, in the first times without your mind getting in the way and basically, confusing you and misleading you into other directions. Mm-hmm. That was the hard things that, part of my training that had to go. Mm-hmm. Another for example, the English alphabet starts with the letter A and ends with the letter Z. But what you don't pay attention to is what are the two English letters that are in the middle of the English alphabet. Do you know off your head?
QR.
What?
QR.
Q and R, no.
Sorry, it was a wild guess.
Okay, since we have 26 letters in the English alphabet, it will be the 13th and the 14th.
Okay.
Letters, right?
Right.
And the 13th and the 14th is two letters, is the M and the N.
MN.
MN. And right. MN, just take the MN, which is the core, right? The core is, first of all, can address itself as man. God created man. Okay, it's the core. It comes from the center. And also God have given to Israelites all throughout their stay in the desert, he gave them the man. You know what the man is? The man is that food from the heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, the manna. He gave them the M and N. M and N. He gave them these two letters in order for them to be able to withstand the difficult, conditioning there. So the M and N in English is such a powerful combination, so powerful that it has created the most powerful element on this planet, which is money. Money is MN, coming from the center, from the core. And it's created so many things. So whenever you see the MN, coming in combination, not to mention that the name of God, we called it the name. What is the name? The name is the N and M, or the M and N. It's all coming from the core. So what I'm trying to tell is that the order that the letters are placed is so crucial to better understanding the relationship between the inner core, the heart, and the outside environment and the surface, or whatever is outside of us, which is a form of illusion that we project from the core of ourselves. So the same thing, if you go to the Hebrew alphabet, the two middle letters is the K and L. Okay, the K and L, which means everything. K and L in Hebrew means everything. It means hakol. Hakol, it means everything.
And hakol is also the voice.
Okay, but it also talks about the voice.
Right.
Basically, there is a message there, hidden message, that tells us that our core, or our essence, is, some of it is laid here, right here in the fifth chakra. This is the most powerful vehicle, or our voice is so powerful, yet we know nothing about it. Yet we know that creation was built by saying, by a voice, and God said, let there be light. Right? God said, let there be light. Now, what do we know about this voice? Now, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of changes done in my fifth chakra when I was, in my friends up there. And when I came down here, I started to do my healing with voice. I started to channel sounds unlike ever heard in my life, never heard about those, that at the first time freaked me out, definitely freaked my clients out, but they have experienced the difference. So, and I have experienced the difference. So I say, wow, why don't we, go with it? And since then, it has evolved into something that is outrageous, and it's such a gift that maybe later I can give you some examples if you would like to hear.
Yes, we would love that. I said we would love that.
We would love that.
It's already catchy.
Just 1 second before, I must mention.
Okay.
I've just looked this week on Gaiam TV.
Oh yeah.
A program with George Noory, who interviewed Michael Tellinger.
Oh yeah, Michael, sure.
Yeah, he was talking about the very same things that Oded just spoke about. He said that the man was actually the monoatomic gold that was given by God, by the gods, but some kind of gods to the Israeli people who were crossing the desert. And also he was talking about a lot about this concept, that what is the meaning of the gold in our life, and that gold was never a form of money before. It only presented to human beings very late in their evolution. And also what Oded said about the voice, Michael just said that he discovered through his expedition and through his all the research that he did, that a voice, that actually sound, is a source of energy that we are not yet tapped into. That it is known that the Anunnakis that are known to be as the fathers of this experience that is now being done on the planet Earth, that they use sound as a source of energy to motivate and to power everything around them. So voice and sound are very connected with each other. So there is a lot to research and to discover. Yeah, I'm sure all about voice and.
From the latter perspective, yeah, it's interesting since you mentioned gold. You know, it says in the Hebrew Bible, it says, and God said, "Let there be light." How do you say light in Hebrew? You say O.
Oh.
Or. O-R. Now, or in Latin languages is gold. What is or in Latin, in Spanish, in Italian? Or is gold. So it's just like saying, and God said, let there be gold. Because it's or is gold. And why gold? Because gold is the only conductor, is a superconductor, the web, all the net, you know, throughout the universe, you know, that make the best communication there is. I understand. So the gold is already
could you repeat that sentence about gold, because for some reason the communication broke up, and that's a very important point.
Oh, yeah, God, it says, you know, the very first thing that God said, he said, let there be light. Now, light in Hebrew is or, O-R.
Like my name.
Yes, it's like her name. Now, or in many languages, especially Latin languages, is gold. So it's just like saying, and God said, let there be gold. And why gold? Because this is the substance that with it God can create all the network in all the universes to better communicate, because they're a conductor, you know, to connect anything in this universe. So this whole universe is all about network. It's a network. That's why the first Hebrew letter in the Hebrew Bible, it calls about Bereshit. Bereshit, though it's in the beginning, but it also means in the network. Bareshet. Reshet is a network, which means everything was created in a network, a web of, you know, communications, everything. So, and also, just to strengthen the point of gold, the first paragraph in the first chapter in Genesis is exactly 197 letters. What's the importance of 197? How it's related to gold? If you look at the elements of this universe, you know, from hydrogen to uranium, the atomic weight of gold is 197. Exactly.
It will be in the 197th place in the.
No, it will be the 89th place, but its atomic weight, its mass.
Oh.
The mass weight of gold is exactly 197. So I see these links, you know, of gold and 197, or the importance of gold. Not only that, in the second chapter of Genesis, the word gold is mentioned. It is describing heaven. It's describing paradise. And it says there that out of paradise, there are 4 rivers coming out. The first one is going through a land or a country where there is gold. And that's instantly related to the Anunnaki coming here to search for gold. If we, you know, buy into this story that Zachariah Sitchin, you know, has worked on. So anyway, the word gold is very important from the Hebrew or from the letter aspect. Why gold is so important? In order to understand that, you have to understand the importance of the letter L. In English, the letter L, it's in the 12 placement. The letter L is like saying God, El, right? El, Elohim. Wherever you take the letter L and you put it, wherever you add the letter L to any letter, to any word, it magnifies and multiplies its power. Now, if you take the letter God, G-O-D, and you add the letter L, you're getting gold. So what is gold? Is 12 times the power of gold, in a sense, or God, or, having gold within it, or aspect of God. There is no coincidence. I don't see that as a coincidence. It's like a hidden hand, have created this alchemy, taking this letter, putting them together, and creating all these universes, or creating words for whatever they are, and all it takes is to better understand these powers, these letters, and how they are put together. Because each letter by itself is not as powerful, is out of these realms. But when they come together, they create these magnificent words for whatever they are. And that's where my part is, to better understand how your name, for example. What do you know about your name, Alfred?
Well, Alfred comes from the Old English Alfred, which talks to spirits. In other words, that's what Alfred means. It's someone who talks to spirits. In other words, someone who talks interdimensionally.
Okay, excellent. Now you have the letter L in your name, which means that interdimensionally, because the letter L can cross all through the universes. You have the letter F and R. The combination of F and R, it's the fruit. And the fruit is the original fruit that Adam and Eve, have eaten, that have expanded the consciousness to realize that they are so much greater that they have been told by these gods or whatever. So you have the fruit, which is very powerful combination, because the fruit is also about perion.
Productivity, fruitility.
Fruition, it's about, fertilizing.
Fertilizing.
Fruition, creating and manifesting. What is that fruit? I've always been asking myself, what is that fruit that Adam and Eve, have eaten? And I can definitely tell you, it was a drug. It was something that totally got them out of their mind. It was just like taking hallucinogen. Mm-hmm. It's just like taking, any of these plants, that, we have so many of them around, but more and more of them, coming into our consciousness. So they took a drug. And what's the name of this drug? You think, I know what the name of it. It's called the drug of life. Or we call it in Hebrew, Sam Achaim. Chaim is life. So it's a drug of life. As soon as you took that, you find yourself here. You wake up here, and you don't know what the heck I'm doing here. But we have to find that out, and that's what we're here, trying to find out, where we come from, what are we doing here?
Well, there are two ways that I can, at least two ways that I can add, some verification from my end to what you're saying. Speaking of Michael Tellinger, it was Michael Tellinger. I spoke at a conference in Johannesburg that Michael organized, and then he took us down to Adam's Calendar, which is where a sacred calendric site where 280,000 years ago the Anunnaki first landed. And I saw firsthand uh, the stone circles that go all the way up to Zimbabwe, where they have set up this sound technology whereby they took the mined gold and then would teleport it up to the central place, which is Adam's calendar, and from there teleport it up to their ships or to their mother planet. And so I saw that. The second is that I've been working, helping counsel a European Union group that is against electronic harassment and mind control weapons at the nanoscalar level. And what they found is that homeopathic gold and is one of the best protections if you're targeted by either electromagnetic frequencies or targeted by nanobots and scalar weapons. Either homeopathic gold is the best remedy that they found to create your aura hardened so that it can't penetrate. And this is the third thing that, and I'll have to ask you a comment on it. It just came up for me, and it may or may not be the case. In 1930,
just to make me understand, homeopathic gold is a gold that is immersed into water.
Yeah, you can go to any health food store, or any homeopathic pharmacy, and buy homeopathic gold, which is a homeopathic remedy built around gold. So that way you're ingesting gold into your system, and it's a good way to ingest gold into your system, which fortifies your entire auric system. So it's exactly what Oded is saying.
It's the same. Another form of it is the ormus. You probably have heard about the ormus.
Tell me more about that.
Oh, the ormus is it's basically what David Hudson, if you know of him, from Arizona, I think, was first to discover that when he take metals, like iridium, rhodium, and some others, and he put them into process, it turns into dust. But what's unique about this dust, that this dust have no gravity. When you put things into this dust, these things also lose their weight, and they are, have no gravity. So he started to ingest that, and people have experienced remarkable, results. Their third eye opened up, and they found themselves projecting themselves, being able to teleport themselves to different places. There was one story that sticks into my mind of a man that took the ormus, quite a big quantity of it, and he said that for 6 months he couldn't get out of his house because he was so afraid, only because one reason. He said that anything I wanted to happen, happened. If I thought about an accident, boom, I was in an accident. If I thought about, anything good, it instantly happened. So he locked himself in a house, got himself busy with mathematical formulas, so that he doesn't really distract his mind into things that can cause, havoc and so forth.
Wow.
Then it subsided and disappeared. It doesn't mean that it will happen with anybody, but it happened with him. And there are some alchemists in the United States that are creating this gold, and they make it from ocean water. They say it's everywhere. You just have to know how to extract it. there is another alchemist that recently I heard his story. He said that since he was 6 years old, he was going to the ocean, taking ocean water and creating gold out of it. And they would ask him, 6 years old, how do you know about this? He said, in my past life, I was in the Essene, cult. And there in the Dead Sea, we were trained how to extract gold from the Dead Sea water to, help our third eye, open up. So I was blown away by this. And since then, I have studied it and I've ordered quite a bit of it. And I would say that it's a beautiful, adjunct, to protect ourselves from all this harassment and bombardment of these frequencies.
And this actually this conversation just brought to mind another point that I can add to verify what you're saying, and that is that here in Canada, I have a colleague who is very advanced, and I actually have a photograph of myself at his place. He lives in a remote area, and holding an ingot of gold, and it's inside. It's in his place, and he has a cabin where it's all filled with ingots of gold, and I'm holding this ingot of gold, and all the ingots of gold, he has made them from lead and base metals. And I've watched him convert this lead. He gets old lead, things, and he puts them in, and he melts it, and then he converts it to gold. And
Wow.
I've actually watched the alchemical process. And what happens is that he makes the lead then into a living metal, which is actually male and female. You see the male and the female, and you see the egg and the sperm, and it go in there, and then it creates. There's actually an egg and sperm, and what comes out of it is gold. It's amazing, but it's in the mineral kingdom. So in the mineral kingdom, once you get down at the alchemical level, they get into egg and sperm, and you can actually see it. I mean, he was showing it to us, and then it converted to gold, and he makes it into these ingots, and we're there holding the ingots, and it's all factual. It's all true.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, he's a very rare human being. Definitely been revealed secrets, and he better protect it, because.
I know. This is very, but he is a man that is totally dedicated to spirit, and so it's not it's not tuned into the to the power and wealth frequency. It's tuned into the higher order frequency, and so I'm very interested in this because all of these things, i.e., gold can either be an instrument of healing, as you say, or it can be an instrument of oppression. Say by keeping a people in debt slavery, taking away. So it's a double-edged sword, and we got onto this track because of the letters of, and it started when your dog barked, and of course, dog is God backwards.
Yeah.
So then we went to God, and then we went to gold, and to think of gold, there currently you think of gold and you think of Midas, and the thing of King Midas, and then he finally died. It's just, what are you going to do with all this wealth? And it's all the associations of negative. Whereas if you look at it through the construction of this particular universe, gold is a way that the networking happens among the various diverse levels. And here in our dimension, Earth, things are very easily used on the dark side rather than on the light side. Things are neutral. It depends how you use them. I'm just feeding back stories and verification to you of what you've said. Now, I'd like to ask you this. Several years ago, I was out at, we have an island close by here in Vancouver called Salt Spring Island, which is a very unusual island. They say that it was part of Mu, and it was almost translated and brought over from the other side of the Pacific during the whole cataclysm, and it landed here. And it's very unusual, and it's very, very unusual place. And this neighbor of ours there was very much into the Hebrew alphabet in terms of the names of God. There were many different ways of the names of God that were embedded in there. And she was into what they call the Kabbalah. Now, is that, but what you're talking about now sounds like it's a level above that. It's more of a teaching that is a dimensional teaching that came through a frequency in this dimensional experience that you had, and that you're coming down with this experience to bring this message. And so I'd like to invite you to teach more of what you were given then. If you were God, I always been pondering about this question. If you were God, where would you hide the secret of creation? I always ask myself this question, or this question always presented itself to me. And after quite a while, I realized the only place to hold these secrets is within the tongue of human being, within their language. But where exactly? It's in the spaces between the letters. Not just in the letters, but between the spaces, there's a whole world, a whole realms of it's like the spaces between the letters, like the black holes, that are full of action. They are not vacuums things. There are gates into divine dimensions, into the beyond dimension, beyond our capacity to really understand. And I am giving it more and more attention to these spaces. In the second phrase in Genesis, it says there, and darkness upon the earth. And this darkness is, I see that as part of the spaces. And then it continues to says, and God's Spirit is upon the face of the water. And God's Spirit in Hebrew, it's called about Ruach. Have you heard about this word? Ruach is spirit. But Ruach in Hebrew also means spaces, is the space between. And it's all, so basically the secret here is that the Spirit of God is hidden in the spaces between the letters, what the eyes cannot see. The regular eye cannot see, but the third eye can definitely see if you open that. But let me go back to the name of God, because there's some hidden secret just understanding this name. It is made of 4 letters, right? Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Okay? These 4 letters, when you doing numerology, you come up to the number 26. But
if you take, and this is the secret, if you take the first letter and the third letter, and you take, and you combine them, because it's all about combination, and you take the second letter and the fourth letter, put them together, you come up, the 26 divides itself into number 10 and number 16. Now, these numbers are so important, because in my belief, these numbers, when you translate them to letter, this is the reason why we have wars on this planet.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I'll tell you what more, because what we're seeing here on down Earth, as far as wars, this is nothing compared to the wars that happens on the higher dimensions. These wars are just a depiction, a very tiny projection of what's happening on a bigger scales, on the higher dimension between the gods. And the war is between two letters, the 10th letters and the 16th letter. The 10th letter, I'm now using the Hebrew alphabet. The 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is the letter Yod, which is, either the I or the J equivalent in the English. And the 16th letter in the Hebrew alphabet is the letter Ayin, which we don't have it in English. So it's like the O or the A. We use the A instead of the Ayin because you don't have it there. Ayin. Ayin is a letter that only in Arabic and only in Hebrew, the only languages that can pronounce the letter Ayin. Ayin, it comes from deep down here. And Ayin in Hebrew translates to an I. And I translate in English into I am. It's the I, it's the I, it's the Ayin. Has a direct link to understand the war between the Yod and the Ayin. Now, just to tell you, the Jewish people, Yehudim, start with Yod. Yehudi is Jewish. And the Arab people start with Ayin. Arab start with Ayin. So we have the war between the Arab and Jews is the war between the Yod and the Ayin. But this war has started ages and ages ago. It's already embedded in the name of God, the Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. But when you trace the biblical story, it is already, this story is already paved. For example, Jacob had two sons, right? You remember the name? Isaac. Isaac has two sons. Isaac, the forefather Isaac, has two sons, right? He had Jacob, and he has Esau. Okay, in Hebrew, Jacob starts with Yod, and Esau starts with Ayin. So we already have this confronting, forces that are depicted by the story of Jacob and his brother that, didn't really match. Why don't you go to the name of Jesus Christ? Jesus Christ, his name in Hebrew is Yeshua. Yeshua. It starts with Yod, his name starts with Yod, end up with Ayin. Now you understand what he was here for. He was here for, from the letter perspective, to bring these two letters into harmony, to put his energy into bridging the gap between these two letters, because unless these letters come together, we are in constant war, constant war.
Now,
so, also Moses, what Moses has to do, what his addition to this bridging these two letters, it's very simple. Moses, his father name was Amram. Amram starts with Ayin. His mother's name was Yocheved. Yocheved starts with Yod. So he is a synthesis of the Yod and Ayin, putting his energy down earth to bridge the gap between these two letters. And I can go on and on and on to tell you how these two letters shows up through the biblical stories, just to, in an effort to bring these two forces together, because these forces are heavenly forces that are somehow manifested into the lower realms to hopefully, bring them together to create heaven on earth or whatever there is.
Right. Now, just to ask you, if you would name or characterize each of these forces, not so much by the letter, but what do these forces represent? Like, what does Yod represent, and what does I represent? What do they each represent?
Okay, excellent question. And not only that, I can tell you where exactly they are found in your body. And once you know where they are in your body, you will know what part of your body is most separated and what's separating you from yourself. They are, as I would say, they are the Orya Deisraeli פה, איך אומרים שומרי הסף? They are the guardians.
The gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are the gatekeepers, and they are responsible to keep you primarily earthbound. When they are separated, they are forcing you to be earthbound. Only when you elevate yourself above them, you can really experience the higher dimension of your mind and the higher dimension of earth. But they are like staying there and telling, you are earthbound. If you want to experience the higher dimension, you have to cross us. You have to prove to us that you are capable to withstand the higher dimension energy. Now, these gatekeepers, they are located into one place in your body. Can you visualize where they are located?
I could say what I'm guessing, that the Yod will be here in your in this chakra, in the throat chakra, and the Ayin, which will refer to the third eye. This is the eye, right? The Ayin in Hebrew, it's an eye.
Okay.
I would think it would.
Yeah, you're very close. Now you have to understand that the letter Yod, it's equivalent in English to the word iodine.
Iodine.
Now,
Yeah.
iodine is a mineral that functions with your thyroid gland. So the Yod would definitely is sitting right in front of here. It is responsible for the functioning of your thyroid gland. Okay. The reason, now see how this letter explain world catastrophe. The nuclear bombing, the nuclear eruption in Japan, for example, it was exploded in your body exactly here in this area for a reason, a very good reason. It had to happen. It was no accident, and I don't care about all the conspiracy stories. Still, the conspiracy are, though they are ego-based, but they are still serving a higher forces. They just don't know it. But the explosion in Japan, the tsunami that was in, Micronesia or whatever, it all happened in one spot in your body. It's happened in your throat chakra. It all happened here because the Yod is sitting in front and the Ayin is sitting at the back. The Ayin is sitting at the back. That was causing the stubbornness. That what is, causing a lot of friction in our life. He is, the place of the Ayin is to make sure that the Yod is collecting the direct light of God and spreading it out here. But what happens, the Yod is holding the light and keeping it for itself. It's like an ego base, is not spreading it, so the Ayin is responsible to make sure that this force will be spread out. That's why we have a constant war between the Jews and the Arabs, because the Arabs are making sure that the Jews will spread the forces and not keep it for themselves. For the same reasons, the Tibetan have had to go through their catastrophe because they kept the knowledge for themselves. And it's against, universal truth. You cannot keep the secret knowledge for yourself. If you keep it for yourself, we will erupt it from you, and we will cause whatever catastrophe that will spread this knowledge. And where this knowledge is today, all over the world. The Tibetan
right. So achieving a balance between Yod and Ayin is really like the moving from duality consciousness to unity consciousness.
Exactly.
Duality consciousness is I win, you lose. Unity consciousness is we are one. Because then if you have a balance between Ayin and Yod, then it's flowing. Because you need an ego to be grounded and to regulate, but you need the Aid to look at the common function, to make sure that all the community is fed. And
exactly.
Yeah. And so this is a move from duality consciousness to unity consciousness. So it's perfectly understandable in terms of all of the other metaphysics that's going on. I mean, I'm just saying that that's another point of verification, because scholars like Dr. Carl Johann Kalaman from the Mayan calendar, that's what he says that the Mayan calendar is saying for this era, that it's going from duality consciousness to unity consciousness. In other words, he's saying that the war between Yod and Ayin is coming into a balance between Yod and Ayin.
And it's all in here. Once we open this gate, then your head and your heart will merge. This gate, or the gatekeepers that are sitting in here, are separating our consciousness, separating us into ego base, and separating from our heart. It's all in here. That's why the tsunami and the Japan nuclear eruption is all up in here, because the spirit will is to open these gates.
Yeah,
whatever comes.
And it's funny, all of my life I've had like this stammer, this verbal stammer, which I've been to the most advanced therapists on the world, and they can't cure it. And that's why I became a lawyer, a teacher, a broadcaster. You go right into. And now this has given me the insight that because I always thought it was reincarnational, but that maybe it reflects the conflict between Yod and Ayin, and now that we're having all of this come out, then that conflict is resolving itself, so that the conflict here is resolving itself, because right now I feel very fluid, and it's through these insights. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm having a spontaneous healing at this minute. So you can write that down.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's exactly it, because you see, this message come also from Mother Earth. I was also fortunate, if I can just add this point, for about a split of a second, I was fortunate enough to meet the higher self of Mother Earth. It took exactly 1 second, and I got a program planned into my mind, and it took exactly a split of a second. I can't even tell you what kind of experience it was. And it took me about a month to understand that it was the higher self of Mother Earth that have given me a message to give to humankind. And this message was how to decode the root soul of your name and how it combined with Mother Earth. So today, I can make maps of wheels within wheels, as it said in Ezekiel's, wheels within wheels. I take a wheel, divide into 12, and another wheel divided into 12, place the letters of your name in it, and playing with these wheels will give me a direct link to your root of your soul. And it was amazing input just coming from Mother Earth, which I didn't had a clue about it before. So these wheels, we have here wheels, it's all about this area.
Wow.
Opening these wheels.
Can I send you my name to have a wheel thing done with it?
Yeah, I can have
Oh, good.
and look at it, and we will send you a map of how the energies
Yeah.
in your body are aligned.
Yeah.
You know, and where is not only that exactly
Yeah.
what letters responsible, what letter responsible to help you to anti your physical karmic issues, what letters in your name you need to work with that will help you to resolve your emotional karmic issues, what letters will help you to resolve your mental karmic issues, spiritual karmic issues, and causal body karmic issues. See, we have these
Yeah.
five bodies that store karmic stuff. So by addressing it, I can see a bigger picture where the bodies of a person, how they align, and how we can resolve that through which letters of the English alphabet or the Hebrew alphabet you can undo some of these karmic issues for whatever reasons.
Yeah. Now, if people want to find out more about your work and also get in touch with you, do you have like a website or a web presence, or how do they do that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I must admit I didn't arrange all the things together. It took me many, many years just to make sense out of this,
Right.
information, and only just recently, it's somehow I've put it together. So I must put the effort, to create a site together.
Okay.
So I hope in a month or so,
Okay.
it will be somehow presented out
Yeah,
there.
good. Well, Orya can tell us when it's ready, and what we'll do is we will publish this video along with an article, and we'll put the links to the article in the description section of this video. And then
Okay.
when you do have a website, then Orya will let us know, and we'll publish that also.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that Oded could give right now his email if you want, if somebody want to contact you right away.
You can send me the email,
Yeah.
Orya, and I will publish it as part of this video.
Sure.
Sure.
I would like to present Oded another question, if I
Sure.
may.
Yeah.
I know the work that Oded is doing for years, and his ability to connect the dots into the very the very moment that we're experiencing a threat of a war from the direction of Syria, which is north, and a kind of a feeling in Israel that everybody around us is like really coming onto us, and really it's really shrinking a feeling inside that they want war with you and they want it now. And although I know that all the Syria situation is about the pipeline that is coming through Iran through Syria. And there is basically a war over the pipeline. That's what I've heard on the internet in the last 2 weeks. And I would like Oded to present his view on, maybe the bigger picture of what you're seeing, what's going on, why Syria, why Obama is so into Syria right now. What do you see?
Yeah, I've been pondering about this from the letter perspective primarily. Everything somehow related to letters. You see, in the Hebrew alphabet, though it will sound, a little bit whatever, but there's, I know it's there. In the Hebrew alphabet, there are 22 letters. Only 21 letters appears in the first chapter. One letter only appears the first time only in the second chapter.
I can guess what this one.
Do you know which letter is missing in the first chapter? And it has a very good reasons.
I can guess one of two, or the S or the Tzadi.
What do you think, Alfred?
So could you could you state that again? I didn't quite get it.
Okay, in Genesis chapter 1,
Yeah.
okay, there are about exactly 1,671 letters.
Right.
Okay? Out of these letters, only 21 letters out of the 22 Hebrew letters show up in whatever combination. One single letter out of the Hebrew alphabet doesn't show up at all in the first chapter, Genesis chapter 1st. It shows up the first time only in the second chapter. And I think it has a significant input.
To the situation now?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Completely. So this letter, which is, I would say, it's equivalent of the letter in English, is the letter S.
S.
S is like the snake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. S is the S. So in Hebrew, it's the letter Samech.
Samech.
Yes. It starts with the S. We also start with Satan. You know, Satan. We start with this letter. The letter Samech is written like the letter O.
Oh.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, we write it in Hebrew just like the letter O, which means it's a closed circle.
Circle.
It's a closed circle. And in chapter 1, it's all about opening. It's about creation. It's not about closing. It's all about, creation. So this letter, for whatever reason, that's related to Satan, and now we have to understand what Satan is. Once you understand what Satan is really, then you understand what's happening here. And Satan is your best friend, if you didn't know it so far. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Let's go for a minute to numerology.
Okay.
The Messiah, if you were to depict God in a 3-digit number, God is a circle, right? Is the complete circle. The complete circle is 360 degree, right?
Right.
So I would like to think of God as the number 360 because it's completeness.
Right.
Now, when you look at the letter of the word in Hebrew, Messiah, the numerology of Messiah is 358. Now, the Messiah, which is a higher consciousness, wants more than anything else to become God, to become 360. The 358 want to become 350, right?
Right.
But to become 360, it has to go through the 359. That's what separates. What separates the Messiah from the 360 is 359. And 359, if you didn't know so far, is the gematria of Satan.
Ah.
So the righteous man, the Messiah, have to go through Satan to reach completeness. Now, the 3 righteous people in the Bible that have wanted to reach completeness, it's Job, Job, the story of Job, who was tried by Satan, right? Because he wanted the bigger picture. So God sent Satan, because you cannot reach God before you have met Satan, because only Satan can see you like no other one, better than you can see yourself. And to come before God, you have to be completely pure. If there is one dot of dark spot, we will burst. So Satan can see these dark spots, and he can help you to clean it out for whatever, in whatever way. So you better have Satan's, clean you, prepare you before God. The other righteous person in the Bible is Daniel. Daniel, to get a bigger picture, his initiation was going through the lion's cage, right? If you remember the story, he was going into the lion cage, where he had almost no chances to survive it, but he survived it. And the third one is Noah. Noah was given the task to take the DNA, to preserve the DNA of anything on this planet, and basically save it for after the destructions. He can, preserve it and create a better DNA. So that was his role, in coming into completeness. So why I mentioned the three, because their name starts with the letter of the DNA.
DNA, right.
The D is Daniel, the N is Noah, and Job in Hebrew is Eov. It starts with A. Okay? These are a hidden secret of the DNA placed there. So Syria starts with S. Okay? And S is Satan, is a part of the satanic forces on this planet that are here to basically cleanse in whatever way through fire. Satan cleansed through fire. And there is, by the way, the only remedy to be able to withstand the fire that we are facing now, tremendously fire around us. The planet is now on fire in general.
Water.
Is water.
The secrets of water.
It's the secret of water. Okay. We call it water consciousness.
Oh my.
To be, enlightened, to be elevated above all this, we have to understand what water consciousness is all about. And it's basically to raise the vibratory frequency of the water in our body. Once you raise this frequency, heaven will open up for you, for sure. And because the fire is like this fire, cannot stop the fire. The fire just will increase more and more. The only way we can control fire is to increase the vibratory frequency of water, because if the water vibration is low, the fire will burn you. But if the water frequency is higher and higher and higher, it can meet the fire at the level where it will align our forces to a level where we can ascend. And this is depicted through the biblical story where Israelites has to cross the water, the Red Sea. This is initiation for water. Then a few months later, they were thirsty, water were bitter, so they asked Moses, give us water. So he had to strike the stone and water comes out, and so forth and so forth. Water have constantly, showed Israelites the way. Not only that, what was in front of Israelites was the pillar of fire, and what was at their back is the pillar of clouds. Right? These were the two forces that were protecting and guiding the Israelites, throughout their journey, which is the journey of our spirit, is a depiction of how the spirit, moving from one spot to another spot. So what we're seeing around with everything around the Middle East is we think the Satan forces or the fire forces are basically rising up more and more for the sake reason to purify all that is not necessary. Because if we burn you, if the fire burns you and there is nothing left of you, then you are doomed to come to another incarnation. But if the fire burns you, and after it burns you, there is an essence left of you that is purified, that with that essence you can ascend. So we are coming to our greatest test, to be burnt in the fire, just to see what's left of me. And the less we have attachment to the material world, to all these unnecessary things, the more we have of ourselves. But the more we attach to the wrong things, it will be burnt, and then we are burnt with it. The more we have attachment, we will be burnt with it. So that's why we're experiencing so much fire around us, which is all to purify and just to put things in a better order, to see what is really important for me, for elevation and for ascension and for the next stage of my spirit journey, or where am I, or what am I really, putting my attention to, and does it really gonna help me to cross over? And just for a split second, I have to add that water consciousness have been so important to me that I asked my Gandhians, how can I get more energy from water? And they taught me how to eat water. I can have a whole meal just by eating water, and it can give me energy for the rest of the day. I eat so little throughout the day, but I have to have my water in a right way, and eat it in a certain way that I basically charge my batteries enough so I can have less and less food. And I guess this is why I'm also very slim, and I've never gained weight.
I'm going to start doing that.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It would blow you away. Because we get so little from water. We know almost nothing about water, and it's so sad that we can be so much more if we just knew just a little bit more about water. But this is a whole another.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to start sharing all of this knowledge, and I'm just thinking that we're drawing to the end of this 90-minute interview, but we do want you to come back and begin to share all of these things, like eating water. I mean, that's a beautiful subject. But I'm just thinking now, just in these last moments, are whether you, Orya and Oded, do you have things that you'd like to share with our audience? Any final thoughts until our next interview? Orya, why don't you go first?
Well, I've been going through a real journey with water, and I was following my partner, Oded. He introduced me to the whole concept of drinking distilled water. And actually, I heard it from some people before on the internet, from Inelia Benz was talking about it. And George Kavasilas told in one of his interviews that he's drinking only distilled water, only rainwater. I'm sorry, rainwater, and rainwater are of course distilled. And I began a journey of my own, and also gold, the Ormus, a powder of monoatomic gold. I also got it and started to ingest it. And what water and gold did to me personally, it really brought me huge tsunamis in dreams. Like I saw a huge tsunamis covering all the city, and I'm standing and looking at it, and thinking, what am I going to do now? Everything is covered with water. And in a dream, I'm finding some rocks to walk on, and I find my way in this huge water blast from nowhere, actually. So And I've been thinking while Oded was speaking about water, actually we are, as human beings, begin our journey in the womb inside of water. Like we're coming to life in a water environment. And we're feeling very protected and very warm, and all the thoughts and all the sounds that are coming to our ears as infants, as unborn human beings, are through water, are through this very protective environment. And I thought about it that through delivery, when we are coming to the word, we have to cross a very narrow channel of the birth channel. And I thought that many of the people's memories are connected to this channel, to this water breakdown, and you know, many experiences that we live are related to this birth, I think, and all that, what it has to do with water and coming to life through that. It's very interesting what Oded was telling, and you know, my thoughts were going to this direction through the conversation.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I basically would like, you know, you can, if you go to YouTube and you put my name in English, I have there 2 clips of sound work. But I would like to, you know, to put some sounds out here for the audience, you know, to absorb. Yeah. So, you know, these are healing sounds. You know, I channel these sounds that, you know, if an ordinary human being would try to make these sounds, hopefully, I mean, it can cause damage to the throat and to the vocal cords. So I can only do it, you know, when I put myself out, you know, because if I try to force it, I can burn it. So I will go into deep inside and ask to these whatever sound to come through me, and basically address you, you know, or address the audience. You know, these are general sounds that can definitely help to open the throat chakra, so we can better, you know, communicate the heart and things. So just think about a place in your body, you know, where you'd like to have more energy directed there, and we will have this, you know, sound go there. Yeah, so let's take a deep inhale, deep exhales, and just allow yourself to relax and surrender to whatever is ready to come through. And we'll accept and open all the channels. Heya, oh, hallelujah. Okay, this is the time to take a deep inhale and exhale and give thanks to all where we are for this opportunity to realize and see and touch the depth within ourselves that is ready to unfold itself and play, being fully aware and conscious of all that is. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And then very gently we can open our eyes, being fully present. Hallelujah. Very good.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
a taste, just a little taste of, of just the range of sounds, which is language. It's primarily language. At this time, I don't exactly understand all the language, but allow it to come forth, and it knows where to go. So it's been wonderful to work with this ability and forces. Good.
Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank us all. Thank you for doing the work that you do. That is just amazing. I've been following your work, and I definitely appreciate everything that you do to awaken the consciousness of people, and just putting the seeds that will eventually, help to awaken and create the mass consciousness that we all, putting efforts into creating to, lift the veil.
As they say, from your lips to God's ears.
Wonderful.
Amen.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.